I, 28F, suggested an open relationship with my boyfriend, 30M, but now he's mad at me even though I don't think I did anything wrong. I didn't know he was this insecure. Okay, Reddit, I really need some advice, because my boyfriend is acting like I'm the villain here, and honestly, I don't understand why. I'll lay out the whole story, and maybe someone can help me figure out if I'm missing something. Right now, I just feel completely confused. So, my boyfriend, let's call him Mark, and I have been together for about 3 years. When we first started dating, it was amazing, lots of passion, excitement, butterflies, all that good stuff. But you know how it is, after a few years, things start to cool down. It's not that I don't love him anymore, but it felt like our relationship was stuck in this routine. Same dates, same conversations, even the physical side wasn't as thrilling as it used to be. I've always been someone who values excitement and adventure in a relationship. I've never been one for monotony. So, a few months ago, I was out with my girlfriends for our usual wine night, and the topic of relationships came up. One of my friends mentioned how she and her boyfriend had recently opened up their relationship. She was going on and on about how it had completely revitalized their connection. She said it made them appreciate each other more and brought back some excitement. They weren't looking for anything serious with other people, just some no-strings-attached fun on the side. The way she described it, it seemed like it solved the exact problems I was feeling with Mark. When I got home that night, the idea of an open relationship stuck with me. I started thinking, why not us? We're both adults, we trust each other, and maybe adding some external fun could spice things up and bring back that excitement. So, I decided to bring it up with Mark. Now, I know this can be a touchy subject, so I tried to approach it gently. One night while we were having dinner, I casually mentioned that I'd been thinking about how we could spice things up in our relationship, and maybe trying something like what my friend did, an open relationship, might be a way to do that. I was expecting him to be a little surprised, but I wasn't prepared for how uncomfortable he got. He immediately said he didn't like the idea and didn't see why we'd need other people in our lives if we loved each other. I tried to explain that it wasn't about love or replacing him. It was purely physical, just something fun to do to shake things up. I reminded him how we had both complained about how the spark wasn't what it used to be, and this could be a way to get it back. At first, he was really resistant. He said he couldn't imagine being with anyone else or seeing me with someone else. But I kept bringing it up, trying to reassure him that it wouldn't change our relationship, that we would still be the main focus, and it was just something on the side. Eventually, after weeks of me bringing it up, he finally caved. He reluctantly agreed, but I could tell he wasn't thrilled about it. We set some basic ground rules. We had to be honest about everything, no emotional attachments, and we would always check in with each other before doing anything. It felt like a fair compromise, and honestly, I was excited. So here's where things started to go off the rails. After we had our open talk, I got to work. I started seeing a couple of guys on the side, just casual hookups, nothing serious. I didn't hide any of it from Mark. I made sure to tell him before anything happened, like we agreed. I thought I was following the rules. But as soon as I told him about my first hookup, I could tell something shifted. He got really quiet, and even though he didn't say much, I could tell he was bothered. But here's the thing, he agreed to this. It's not like I went behind his back or cheated. We had a mutual agreement. Over the next few weeks, I hooked up with a couple more guys. It wasn't like I was seeing someone new every day, but I was having fun and enjoying the freedom. I thought it would help take the pressure off our relationship. But with each guy I told Mark about, he got more distant. He started going out less, and we weren't talking as much. At first, I thought he just needed time to adjust, but then I found out something that shocked me. Mark hadn't hooked up with anyone at all. Not one person. When I confronted him about it, he said he couldn't bring himself to do it, that the idea of being with someone else made him sick. I was genuinely surprised. I thought he was on board with this whole thing. I reminded him that it was supposed to be a two-way street, that he could see other people too, and maybe it would help him feel better. But instead of being open to it, he just shut down and told me he didn't want to do this anymore. Then came the big blow-up. A couple of weeks ago, I hooked up with a guy I'd met through some mutual friends. It wasn't anything serious, just a one-time thing. When I told Mark about it, he completely exploded. He accused me of treating the open relationship like an excuse to cheat. He said I was disrespecting him, that I didn't care about his feelings, and that I was taking things too far. He told me that I had crossed a line, but I honestly don't understand what line I crossed. We had rules, and I followed them. I tried to remind him that this was his idea too, that we both agreed to it, and I didn't break any rules. But he wasn't having it. He said I ruined everything and that he doesn't even recognize me anymore. Now he's talking about needing space and that he might want to break up. It's like he's punishing me for something we both agreed to. I don't feel like I did anything wrong. I was honest with him the whole time. I never hid anything, never lied, and I followed the rules we set together. So why is he making me out to be the bad guy? I suggested something that I thought would help our relationship, and now it feels like it's all falling apart. So, Reddit, am I the asshole here? Or is Mark just being overly sensitive and making this into a bigger deal than it should be? I'm really confused and could use some outside perspective. I, 29F, suggested an open relationship with my boyfriend, 31M, but now he's mad at me, and I honestly don't see what I did wrong. Hey, Reddit. I'm writing this because I feel like I'm losing my mind here. My boyfriend, let's call him Jake, has been acting like I completely betrayed him, and I don't understand why. I followed all the rules, and now he's treating me like the bad guy. I'm hoping someone can help me figure out if I'm missing something, because right now, I don't think I did anything wrong. So, here's the backstory. Jake and I have been together for almost 5 years. Things were great for the first few years, we had chemistry, fun dates, a solid connection. But, like most long-term relationships, things started to feel a little stale. The passion wasn't the same, and we were stuck in the same routines. We'd watch Netflix, cook the same meals, have the same conversations, and I just wasn't feeling as excited about us anymore. I love Jake, don't get me wrong, but I felt like something was missing. I wanted to feel that thrill again, and I started thinking about how to bring that spark back into our relationship. Then, one of my best friends mentioned that she and her husband had opened up their marriage, and it had completely transformed their relationship for the better. She said they had better communication, more excitement, and were even closer than before. I thought, wow, maybe that could work for us too. I sat on the idea for a few weeks, thinking about how to approach Jake with it. I knew it would be a big change, but I also felt like it could be the thing that reignites the flame between us. So, one night, while we were having dinner, I brought it up. I explained to Jake how I'd been feeling and that maybe an open relationship could be a way for both of us to explore new experiences while staying committed to each other. He didn't take it well at first. He got really quiet, which is always a bad sign with him. He said he didn't like the idea of being with someone else, and the thought of me being with other guys made him uncomfortable. I tried to reassure him that it wasn't about replacing him or loving him any less, it was just about adding some excitement to our lives. I told him we'd have strict rules, and it would only be physical. No emotions, no drama. He still wasn't on board. I could tell he was struggling with the idea, but I kept bringing it up. I didn't want to pressure him, but I really believed this could be good for us. After a few weeks of me explaining why it could work, he finally gave in. He said he'd try it, but he had some ground rules: honesty, no emotional attachments, and no bringing anyone back to our apartment. Fine by me. I thought, we'll try it, and maybe we'll both end up happier. For the first couple of weeks, nothing happened. We both went about our normal routines, but I started getting curious. I wanted to see if this would actually spice things up, so I decided to go out with my girlfriends. On one of those nights, I ended up meeting this guy, nothing special, just a casual fling. I made sure to tell Jake the next day, thinking we were all good. But the look on his face when I told him, it was like I'd just punched him in the gut. He didn't say much, just a quiet okay, but I could feel the tension. After that, things got a little awkward between us. I noticed he started acting distant, he wasn't as affectionate, wasn't really talking to me as much. I thought maybe he just needed some time to get used to the new dynamic. After all, it was a big change. Over the next couple of months, I hooked up with a few more guys. It was never anything serious, just fun, casual encounters. I followed the rules, we were honest with each other, and I didn't develop any feelings for these guys. I thought I was doing everything right. But every time I told Jake about one of my hookups, I could see him pulling further away. I even asked him if he had seen anyone yet, and he always said no, which surprised me. We had agreed that this was for both of us, but he wasn't taking advantage of it at all. Then, things came to a head last week. I hooked up with a guy I met at a party, and I told Jake about it the next morning. This time, he completely lost it. He said I'd gone too far, that I didn't care about his feelings, and that I was treating the relationship like a joke. He accused me of not respecting him, and he even called me a cheater, which really threw me for a loop. How could I be cheating when we agreed to this together? I tried to explain to him that I followed the rules we set, no emotional attachments, full honesty. I didn't lie to him, didn't hide anything. I did exactly what we agreed on. But he wasn't hearing it. He said he couldn't handle it anymore, that I'd crossed a line, and now he's talking about breaking up or taking a break. I don't get it, Reddit. He agreed to the open relationship. I didn't force him into it. Sure, maybe I pushed for it a little, but he said yes. And now he's acting like I betrayed him when all I did was what we both agreed to do. I don't feel like I did anything wrong, but he's making me feel like the worst person in the world. So, Reddit, am I the asshole here? Did I really screw up, or is Jake just not handling this the way we both agreed? I'm honestly at a loss and could use some outside opinions. Let me know what you think.